Hello, my friends. This is Dr. Ginny Barrow. There's something that I hear a lot about these days, and something that I'm also collaborating with one of my partners, and that is to talk about personal branding. Personal branding is a mysterious topic that people say, what is a personal brand? And do I have a personal brand? And how do I build mine? And how do I strengthen mine? And this is one of the classes that I teach in my programs. And the reason why I believe is so important to talk about personal branding is that whether or not we recognize that we have a brand, we have one. And the question is, are we going to let the world decide what is our brand? Or are we going to be more intentional about defining our brand, what's important to us, what matters, how we show up, how we lead, how we are as people in this world, how we collaborate, and position it in a way that is reflective of who we really are, instead of allowing whim or chance define our brand. So what can I teach you? What can I share with you from what I know about creating my own brand from the moment I graduated from college till today, after running my business for 5 years? There have been some thematic topics around my personal brand that I believe would also serve you. The first one is communicating, how I communicate with people about myself, about others, about a subject matter that we're discussing, how I communicate my message with the level of respect that I speak, with the level of respect that I speak about myself, my abilities, what I want to do, where I want to go, how I want to add value. Communication is, to me, a foundation for your personal brand. So as I go through this, I'm going to ask you some questions. How are you communicating today? How aware are you about your communication today? If I were to ask someone in your life, personally or professionally, how is your communication personally? And how is your communication professionally? What would they say? From your own perspective, what do you think they would say? When you answer that question, I would like for you to be honest with yourself and assess if there is room for improvement, or if you feel absolutely satisfied with the way your personal brand reflects and the way that you communicate reflects your brand. The second piece that I found that's thematic around my personal brand is, how do others perceive you? How do they experience you as a friend, in your family, as a teammate, as an employee, as a leader? How do they experience you? That's the next question. And pay attention to the feedback that you receive, whether it's direct feedback from them, where they say, hey, Ginny, this is how I see you when I interact with you. This is how I feel after I've interacted with you. And the indirect feedback, which is what people don't tell you, but is what you notice that they say, or how they react or respond to you when you're communicating. A big sign as to how people are perceiving you and receiving you is, do you find yourself encountering many conflicts in your life, personally or professionally? Do you find that there's a lot of conflict between you and the people that you're engaging with, or between you and teammates, you and managers, you and other departments? What would you say in a scale of 1 to 10, if one was very poor and one was excellent? How would you rate yourself in terms of how other people perceive you? The other piece of this is part of your brand too, is your character. I remember when I started working full time almost 30 years ago, or over 30 years ago, wishful thinking, that my father used to say to me, treat everybody with respect, be professional at work. And he also said to me, always go to work dressed and in a way that your manager could send you into a meeting to go on his or her behalf, and you will have no shame of how you look or how you appear because you look professional for the environment that you're working in. Back in those days, we had to wear suits, etc. You know the deal. Today is different, right? Today we can go with much more business casual, etc. But back in those days, if you looked professional, you had a suit, either whether a pantsuit or skirt suit, or whatever the case may be. But you also looked put together and you looked professional when you walked into a room. What about you? How is your brand showing your character in terms of how you show up, whether you have integrity and honesty, whether you are impeccable with your word, you follow through, people can trust you, they can share information with you, and you keep it to yourself if they share something that was confidential? Or do you feel like you have to share everything that you learn because you want to be the center of attention? And I say that with love and compassion, right? We know the people in the office who share everything that they hear because they tell us everything that they hear. And usually, if you're one of those people, and you could be, the reputation is that if you want something to be known in the office, tell so and so because they will spread it everywhere. Pay attention to where you are, pay attention to how you're showing up, how your character is. Do you like the person that you are at work and at home? That all has to do with your personal brand. And if you find, as you answer these questions that I'm posing to you, that there's something about your personal brand today that you wish you could shift and change a little bit, then let's pay attention and let's focus on that. Part of your personal brand also reflects in how you talk about your marketable skills, especially when you are in the interviewing process. Many of the clients that I support are professionals who are talented, who are transitioning from one role to another. They're either unemployed, looking for work, or they are already employed, looking for the next level, looking for the next role that represents their abilities, or maybe looking for a healthier environment. Once we cross off that the problem is not the person who comes to me for help, but rather the environment, then one of the things that I do is I support them to find their next place where their contributions will be valued. And we go through the process of identifying what is your current brand? What is your unique value proposition? Oh, you don't know what it is? Let's find out. So we talk about their why, their marketable skills, and their superpowers. And we equip them with those tools, with that information, with that knowledge, because that creates a healthy energy and a new level of confidence, which they can use to then present themselves powerfully, position themselves powerfully in the context of the role that they're looking to fulfill, using their superpowers and unique value proposition, and being able to articulate their own value and relay compelling stories that will reflect their value to a person who doesn't know them, a recruiter, a hiring manager, a potential employer who doesn't know anything about them. How do you do that in an effective way? That's the kind of work that we do together. And as I worked with so many people over the years, the last 5 years, I learned that there were very specific and prescriptive things that people were missing. And what I did is I put together the Personal Branding Masterclass. And that class has been running since 2020. It has been one of the most impactful classes that I put together. And it's for people who are typically transitioning and looking for the new role. So I teach them how to identify their personal brand, most importantly, their unique value proposition, how to set themselves up for success and position themselves to articulate who and what they are about, and then how to create a magnetic resume and LinkedIn profile that reflects their abilities, their experiences, and how they do what they do so uniquely. So if you know anyone in your circle who is currently struggling, and that could be you, who really needs support in strengthening or building a compelling personal brand, along with learning the skills to craft a resume and LinkedIn profile and prepare for the interview in a powerful way, you can tell them about personalbrandingmasterclass.com. Go check it out. Reach out to me with any questions because I would love to support you in any way that I can. And this is the way in which I scale myself, right? Because what happens is I help you by giving you online training. And then I also meet with you to review your compelling new resume and your LinkedIn profile. And I give you the support that you need to walk out there with a lot of confidence, to land the job that you deserve, and that I know that you can contribute to the best of your abilities and superpowers. So with that, I want to say thank you for listening. Thank you for being in our community. And I hope that as I share these messages, that these messages support you and support people who are in your life who can benefit from what I'm sharing. You know how to reach me at callwithginny.com. Live with purpose, live with joy.